everyone, it's Jess here from the Jane Goodall Institute of Australia. Now throughout these 3 episodes, you're going to meet so many different kinds of Australian wildlife, some of which you may never have even heard before. Now while these animals may look cute and cuddly, like my gorgeous puppy Winnie here, it's important to keep in mind that they are in fact wild animals. The Jane Goodall Institute and the School Broadcasting Network does not endorse the handling or being in close proximity to wildlife by any persons other than qualified professionals, such as the carers, keepers, and the scientists who are featured in these videos who each comply with Australian standards of wildlife care.
Hi, Nathaniel Jung here, Chairman of SBN's International Young Leaders Board. Welcome to our second episode for the national launch of An Antechinus in the Attic. What an incredible variety of wildlife we are discovering, and there's so much more to come. Though first, it's my absolute honour to introduce Ian Redmond, OBE, Ambassador, UNEP Convention on Migratory Species, Chairman of the Ape Alliance and co-founder of the exciting and critically needed up-and-coming digital streaming service, Ecostreamz, a revolutionary new global media platform providing students and adults everywhere access to important documentaries and videos about the environment, wildlife conservation, and societal issues. Ecostreamz will be launching a special educational initiative, providing primary and secondary schools all over Australia with custom access to this excellent platform to commence at the start of the 2021 school year. And we will be hosting a sneak peek of this service for schools later this year. So watch this space for more details coming soon. And now, it's over to Ian Redmond in the UK.
Hello, thank you for inviting me to take part in this exciting day, National Threatened Species Day. Well, why should we be celebrating threatened species? Because they're threatened and they're really important. Across Australia and indeed across the world, many of the most interesting and ecologically important animals are threatened by human activities. And that means that we humans have to change some of our behaviours. So on this day, I hope you'll learn a lot about that. You can learn a lot about threatened species from books, of course, and from videos, from documentaries. The mainstream television channels will show a certain number of documentaries, and they're really powerful expressions of our concern for wildlife and wild places. But the minute the documentary finishes, just when you're thinking, wow, that was really moving, that's when they try and sell you a washing machine or a new car or tell you about the next drama series. They want your attention to move on. We've started to develop a channel called Ecostreamz, which in that critical moment when you've just learned something in a documentary, instead of trying to sell you stuff, we're trying to say, hey, you care about this, you've learned about it, what do you want to do about it? How do you get involved? Because only when you, each one of you, gets involved will these species have a chance. So Ecostreamz is a team of people around the world, including such luminaries as Jane Goodall, as Peter Egan, an actor, Stanley Johnson, an environmentalist in the UK and whose son happens to be the Prime Minister, but that's neither here nor there. In Hong Kong we've got Sharon Kwok. Our youth ambassador is Maya Rose Craig, also known as Bird Girl, and a founder of Black to Nature to try and make conservation more inclusive and involve people of all backgrounds, races, ethnicities in this global effort to ensure that our planet remains habitable. So I'm sure you're going to learn a huge amount during these activities. I'm excited to be a part of it, and Ecostreamz is a part of it too. 2 of our films are particularly relevant to today. One is called Kangaroo Island, Life on the Edge, and you get to watch that for free during this week. And the other is called Kilimanjaro, Climb for Climate Action. So let me tell you a little bit about Kilimanjaro, Climb for Climate Action. I was one of a team of conservationists who climbed up Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest point in Africa. Kilimanjaro is famous as that white-topped volcano that stands above Amboseli. Amboseli is in Kenya, but Kilimanjaro is in Tanzania, and it affects the climate of the whole area around it. It generates rain, and the rain flows on to the surrounding area, and on the top of the mountain it's so high, 19 and a bit thousand feet high, that there are glaciers, and snow caps, so it is snow almost on the equator. But the glaciers are melting. And they're melting for all sorts of reasons, not least of which average global temperatures around the world are rising, which means that all over the world glaciers are melting. So you'll see some thoughts on climate change and what humans are doing to affect the planet and what we need to do to change that effect so that our planet remains hospitable and habitable for our species and all the other species that are a part of the biosphere, the thin film of life that coats the big ball of rock that we all live on. So Climb for Climate Action will teach you about the problem of climate change and how apes and elephants and other endangered species around the world are involved in preventing dangerous climate change. What on earth has a gorilla or an orangutan, or for that matter, animals in Australia that live in forests, got to do with climate change? Well, they play an ecological role in those forests, and the forests need them. So it's not that there's a forest and there's some animals in it, some monkeys or some elephants or koalas or wherever you are in the world, pick your animal. No, those animals are part of that forest ecosystem. So it's essential that we protect the animals as well as their forest habitat. And we need to protect those because forests sequester and store carbon, taking in carbon dioxide from the air and putting out oxygen, which we need to breathe. So they're kind of important for life on Earth. So protecting animals in forests is as important as protecting the trees themselves. And by doing so, we ensure a future for our own species, because we all need to breathe, we all need fresh water, we all need a stable climate. And that's what we're trying to achieve. So on National Threatened Species Day, don't just think about the species, think about their ecosystem and how that helps to keep our planet habitable for us and all the other species. Thank you for your attention. Have a fantastic day and a fantastic week, and then keep those ideas going. And sign up to Ecostreamz. Help us build that into the platform for activists all over the world to get involved and be part of the solution, not just part of the problem. Thank you.
For those who rage against injustice and are fed up with the status quo. For those who worry about deforestation and the effects of man-made climate change. For those who don't want to lose another rhino or elephant or lion, but don't know what to do. We are Ecostreamz. Watch hundreds of important films and videos covering all the critical issues of our day. Contribute to filmmakers and NGOs through the Ecostreamz platform and support their efforts. Become part of our growing community of activists working together to cure our ailing world. Be the changemaker. Join us today. Ecostreamz. Truth empowered.
Hey everyone, it's Isaac Wildlife Warrior here from Victoria. What an honour it is to have Dr. Ian Redmond, OBE, as our keynote speaker for the open of episode 2 of our 3-part special for the launch of An Antechinus in the Attic. Such words of wisdom from a true legend in the world of conservation documentaries. Did you know that as a young field biologist, Ian assisted Dr. Deanne Fossey in her gorilla research and also consulted over 100 documentaries during his career? Now that's amazing. So now we're heading across to one of my favourite places to be, Zoos Victoria. My dear friend Dr. Marissa Parrott is going to tell us all about some of the most critically endangered species in Australia. Helen, the helmeted honeyeater, Colin, the corroboree frog, and Stuart, the stick insect from Lord Howe Island, who was thought to be extinct, but then only rediscovered a few years ago. So it's over to you, Marissa.
Hi, I'm Dr. Marissa Parrott, reproductive biologist at Zoos Victoria. The amazing Antechinus is one of my favourite species. They're marsupials, and depending on the species, females may have 6 or even up to 10 young that they raise in their pouch. There are about 15 different species of Antechinus across Australia. Major threats to the Antechinus include habitat destruction, major events like bushfires and long-term drought, and also predation by introduced species like cats and foxes. That's all from me on Antechinus from Zoos Victoria, so it's back to the team.
Hello, I'm Damien Goodall and I'm an amphibian specialist at Melbourne Zoo. I take care of the southern corroboree frogs, one of Australia's best known colourful frogs. Southern corroboree frogs are easily recognised by their bright yellow and black stripes. You can't miss them. This Australian alpine frog lives in Mount Kosciuszko National Park in New South Wales and is very small, about 3 centimetres long. Each summer the males create a nest in the sphagnum bogs and begin croaking with a high-pitched chorus sound. The females will lay around 30 clear pearl-shaped eggs. When the tadpoles hatch, they'll survive the winter months under the frozen ice and metamorphose into tiny froglets come spring. This striking little frog needs our help as they are listed as critically endangered. Habitat disturbance like drought and fire make it difficult for the species to survive. However, the biggest challenge is the introduced disease called chytrid fungus. Zoos Victoria and our partners are working hard to help the southern corroboree frog from going extinct. At Melbourne Zoo, we breed southern corroboree frogs and release their eggs back into the wild. So far, we have released over 7,000 eggs. We hope to see a future filled with bright corroboree frogs, and so Colin and his friends will continue to thrive up at Mount Kosciuszko.
Hello, I'm Rowan Cleave. I'm a zookeeper and the Lord Howe Island stick insect specialist here at Melbourne Zoo. My role, and the incredible team I work with, is to help save the Lord Howe Island stick insect from extinction. Way back in 2001, we thought the Lord Howe Island stick insect was extinct, but their journey back from the brink of extinction was just starting after an incredible rediscovery by a team on Ball's Pyramid, the world's tallest volcanic stack not far from Lord Howe Island. Ball's Pyramid is the only known habitat for the species. An adult pair arrived at Melbourne Zoo in 2003, and that began the challenge of learning all about them and working our hardest to save the species. When they hatch as a baby, known as a nymph, after spending more than 6 months inside the egg, which is buried underground, they are bright green. As they grow, they change colour, eventually turning completely black. Lord Howe Island stick insects face many challenges in the wild, so protecting this species is important for their survival. It is important to protect them from predators, disease, and habitat disturbance. Zoos Victoria and our partners play a vital role in the conservation of the Lord Howe Island stick insect. At Melbourne Zoo, nearly 18,000 have been bred as part of our breeding program, and 15 generations since the start of our involvement to save this species.
Hello again, I'm Dr. Marissa Parrott, a reproductive biologist here at Zoos Victoria. At Zoos Victoria, we have a beautiful sanctuary called Healesville Sanctuary, and here we look after many helmeted honeyeaters as part of a recovery program for the species. Did you know that helmeted honeyeaters, like Helen, the helmeted honeyeater in An Antechinus in the attic, are found only in Victoria? They're our bird emblem of our state. Helmeted honeyeaters feed on eucalypt sap, insects and flower nectar. They can drink the nectar from a flower in less than 1 second. They have really beautiful cup-shaped nests that they bind together using spiderweb. In our captive breeding program, we collect spiderweb for them on sticks from around the sanctuary so they can build their nests for their eggs and chicks. Helmeted honeyeaters are particularly special because they're critically endangered and need our help in the wild. Sadly, destruction of habitat is the biggest threat to wild helmeted honeyeaters, along with introduced predators. Since 1989, we've been working on a recovery program with our partners to save helmeted honeyeaters from extinction. This includes looking after a captive bred population at Healesville Sanctuary and releasing them in protected national parks. Earlier this year, 18 helmeted honeyeaters were released back to the wild. A great conservation success story for their species. You can help helmeted honeyeaters and our other forest-dwelling species by using recycled toilet paper to wipe for wildlife and protect forests. And by keeping your pet cat safely contained at home. This means you have safe, happy cats and safe wildlife. Thanks for listening all about helmeted honeyeaters. Now back to the team at Roots and Shoots and SBN.
Hi everyone, I'm Jonathan and I'm a youth leader at JGI Australia's Roots and Shoots, coming to you from Sydney. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about all the innovative ways that Zoos Victoria are helping to save our threatened species. I had no idea that collecting spiderwebs was helping to save our endangered helmeted honeyeaters. It's now time to meet another threatened bird species and a slithering serpent, so I'll hand it over to the team at Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary to tell us all about Connie the cassowary and Octavia the olive python.
Hi, my name is Sandy. I'm one of the bird keepers here that work at Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary in Brisbane. I've been working here for about 28 years and I've had a great opportunity to work with lots of different types of animals and also birds. One of my favourite animals that I currently work with is the cassowary. In this book here, you will be able to see Connie, the cassowary, doing cartwheels in the courtyard. How clever is she? You'll notice in this book, she actually looks very small, but in fact she's not. She's actually the second largest flightless bird in Australia. So can you guess what the largest is? It's the emu. The emu is just slightly taller than the cassowary. So here's Connie now. You can see how beautiful she is. She is lovely and black. She has these bright blue colours around her neck, and that thing that you see hanging down is called a wattle. If you have a look on top of her head, she has this thing called a casque. They're also known as the rainforest warrior. If you have a look at her legs, she has two very strong legs that assist her with running very, very fast through the rainforest. And one other special thing about the cassowary is that they can do a super poo. These birds go through the rainforest and they pick up berries and fallen fruit from the trees off the floor of the rainforest, and then they're able to disperse these into a super poo. This is what helps the rainforest grow, so they're very, very clever. Up in the wet tropics, where Connie and their friends live, they also have roads. But unlike us, they don't know how to cross the road safely. So this is where we can help. So if you're driving around where there's lots of animals found, we need to slow down and look out for these animals that might be crossing the road.
Hi there, I'm Courtney. I'm one of the reptile keepers here at Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary in Brisbane. I've been working here for about 3 years now, and I work in the reptile section and also with the koalas. My absolute favourite thing about working with the reptiles is that every single one of them are completely unique, from your frogs to your snakes all the way up to your crocs and also your monitors as well. In the book we have Octavia the olive python with her friend Ozzy the osprey playing the oboe. There's no oboe playing for Octavia today, who's just enjoying the winter sun here in sunny Queensland. Can you see her beautiful scales? When she lies in the sun, they're often rainbow. Now, olive pythons, like Octavia, can get up to 5 metres and can weigh up to 22 kilos. Octavia's not that big, she's only about 3.5 metres now. You'll find these guys up around Darwin in the northern parts of Australia, especially around our rocky gorges, like you can see her having some fun here. Now, one of the biggest threats for Octavia and her other olive python friends are actually us humans. So the best thing you guys can do is, if you see a snake in the wild or maybe in your house, just make sure you watch it, but tell an adult first.
Hey, it's Zoe from the School Broadcasting Network's team in Melbourne. Claiming the cassowary is a pretty awesome bird, right? And, fun fact, I actually played the role of both Carol the cassowary from SBN's Bilby Creek audio story series that our team produced for Google Home's Tell Me a Story platform. You can jump on switchonradio.org to check out the great podcasts. There's hundreds of them for you to pick and choose from on a wide range of topics, and they are a great resource for schools. So, now we're heading from the Pine Sanctuary in Queensland down south to Victoria as we're crossing to Chris and the team at Wild Action Zoo. And you can definitely get ready for some more awesome animals ahead. Take it away, Chris.
G'day everyone, zoologist Chris Humphrey here. I run a company called Wild Action and we concentrate on breeding endangered species and educating all Australians on the importance of protecting biodiversity. And I'm so rapt to be involved in the book launch of An Antechinus in the Attic. And I'll be showcasing to you 3 amazing species which are in the book.
Brian the Bandicoot was in the basement playing billiards with Bob the Bilby and Betty the Bettong, while Brianna, the blue-banded bee, buzzed back and forth between a beautiful bouquet of bottlebrush and a bowl of banksias.
This is Betty, a brush-tailed bettong, a critically endangered marsupial, closely related to the kangaroos. Brush-tailed bettongs are a marsupial, which means, of course, they have a pouch where the baby grows up big inside. Brush-tailed bettongs continually breed, and a female can give birth to up to 3 joeys a year. Wild Action is extremely successful at breeding this critically endangered species. Brush-tailed bettongs have another name as well. They're called a woylie. Brush-tailed bettongs love eating fungi. We call them fungivores, and they're very important environmental engineers. And whilst they're doing that, they promote microbial growth and disturb fungal spores and seeds. They're very important animals for our landscape, and we need to protect them at all costs. Let's look at some of their amazing adaptations. Big ears for listening for danger, and they have a curly-whirly tail which they can grab onto branches and sticks to make their nest with. And look at these big clod-hopping feet. Big feet for hopping and bounding about the Australian landscape. Now, brush-tailed bettongs have large eyes for seeing at night time. They're nocturnal.
They have long whiskers for sensing and feeling around their environment. Check out their amazing syndactylous split claw on their toe for grooming. Hey, it's like a hairbrush!
Their long rake-like claws are used for digging up the soil, searching for their food. Brush-tailed bettongs used to be abundant in Australia, but sadly now they're critically endangered. We need to help them out. There used to be millions of these creatures hopping across our landscape, but now it's thought that there's less than 15,000, possibly only 5,000 of this adorable marsupial species left. The biggest threats to brush-tailed bettongs are loss of habitat, our agricultural practices, and introduced pests such as foxes, cats and dogs. You see, brush-tailed bettongs live on the ground. They make a little nest called a dray.
This makes them easy prey for introduced predators. Hey, if you'd like to help out native wildlife, be responsible pet owners. Keep your cat indoors and always walk your dog on a lead.
I think they're one of the most adorable Australian marsupials. I love you, Betty. Mwah.
Thanks, Chris. Hi everyone, I'm Mary and I'm a member of Roots and Shoots Australia here from sunny Sydney. How amazing is it to learn about the fantastic work that Wild Action are doing to help some of Australia's most endangered wildlife? It gives me so much hope just knowing that there are so many people out there giving their time to save our threatened species. Now we're headed from Macedon all the way down the Great Ocean Road to Cape Otway Conservation Ecology Centre. We're about to meet Queenie the quoll, one of our most endangered carnivores. So many people, even in Australia, have never heard of this animal before, so be sure to tell your friends all about them. We're off to the beautiful Otway Ranges in Victoria.
G'day, welcome to the Conservation Ecology Centre. My name's Emma and I'm a wildlife keeper down here, and we are located in southwest Victoria in the heart of the Great Otway National Park. Now down here in the Otways we have our very own Queenies. Our little Queenie here, she's a tiger quoll or a spot-tailed quoll. We haven't got Quinton, he's over on the west coast of Australia, We're southwest Victoria, and you will find the queenies from Queensland all the way down to Tasmania. Now, our queenies love big patches of forest where they can roam around, have a really large home range, and hide in things like logs and little rock crevices. So our queenies, they're actually a really strong predator. So you see, she looks small, she looks very cute, but they're actually the largest carnivorous marsupials on mainland Australia. So in Tasmania, the Tassie Devil, they're a little bit bigger than them, but here in Victoria, they are the biggest. So what they can do is they can go around hunting, mostly nocturnally, but sometimes during the day. They'll go hunting and they'll bring down mammals, or even they might climb up with their strong claws they have to climb up into the trees and steal some eggs, and that way they can make themselves a quiche to quoll. So our queenies, they are a threatened species, so we are losing our tiger quolls, and their threats include foxes and also feral cats. Now, for you guys at home, what you can do to help out our native wildlife is, while you love your cats, you love your pet cats, but we also love our wildlife, love to keep them inside and keep them safe where you can see them, and that will also protect our wildlife and make sure our queenies are kept safe. So from me and from Queenie, thanks very much. Back to you guys at the Jane Goodall Institute and SBN.
Hey, it's Evie here from SBN's team in Melbourne. How cool are quolls? Thanks so much Emma and the team at Cape Otway Conservation Ecology Centre for sharing all that cool stuff about these curious creatures. So now we're crossing to the University of Melbourne System Garden, where Tim is going to tell us about some very special plants like the ones featured in An Antechinus in the attic. It's over to you, Tim.
Hi, my name is Tim Eubergang, and I'm in the University of Melbourne's Botanic Garden called the System Garden. The System Garden is an educational garden that dates back to 1856. Botanic gardens of all shapes and sizes are important because they showcase the value of plants. Whether you enjoy your botanic garden to just have a stroll around and look at the plants, or whether that's for education or even conservation purposes. In some cases, botanic gardens have the opportunity to identify and regrow plants that might be threatened or endangered in the wild and reintroduce them back into their natural habitat. So let's go and have a look at a few plants in the System Garden. Today I want to talk to you a plant which is a palm tree from Victoria. Australia has over 50 different palm species, but this one, Livistona australis, is the only one native to the state of Victoria. It is a tall growing palm, it can grow up to 20 metres. It is also an indigenous use plant as well. You can see here the stems of the fronds can be peeled, and that fibre can be used as a rope or fishing line. Also, the new growth of the palm leaves has also been known to be used as a medicine for sore throats. It's also in an urban environment they can have their importance as well, and they're known to have been a favourite home to microbats. So important in habitat and important also in an urban environment as well for diversity. Now this behind me is a very iconic Australian native plant. This one here is Banksia ericofolia. Australia has more than 75 different species of Banksia, and all but one is found on the mainland of Australia. Banksias come in many shapes and sizes, from 20 metre plus trees to low growing ground covers. A really important plant for our native fauna, particularly birds. They're very high nectar producing plants. Indigenous people used to even
put the flowers into water for a sugary drink as well. Hi, this time I'm coming to you a little deeper in the Australian rainforest garden inside the System Garden. And this time I want to show you a plant that's common name is zamia fern. Some people even call it zamia palm. But in fact it's actually neither. It reproduces by cones. And it has to have either a male or a female cone. What's interesting about this cycad is that it's pollinated by weevils, and it requires, the plant requires the weevil for pollination, and the weevil requires the plant for food. And if either of those were compromised in the habitat, it would be detrimental to the other. It's found only in the northern parts of Australia, in Queensland. And it can even be used as a pot plant in a normal domestic environment. It's a really beautiful, feathery cycad, which is not as spiny as some others. So I hope you like this one. Bowenia spectabilis.
Hi, I'm Georgia from the Jane Goodall team in Sydney. Thanks to Tim for telling us about those native Australian plant species and sharing all of their Indigenous uses. There are several endangered plants featured in An Antechinus in the attic, by the way, including Banksia vincentia and the Wimmera bottlebrush. Okay, so now we're heading from Western Australia all the way across Uluru and Central Australia up to Southern Queensland to hear about a curious creature called a flying fox. But not literally. This animal is actually a type of bat known as a megabat. So get ready for some seriously cute content coming right up. It's over to the Bat Conservation Rescue team in Brisbane.
Hi, my name's Tessa Carey and I'm a wildlife officer at Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary and a bat carer with BCRQ, Bat Conservation and Rescue Queensland. I've been a carer with BCRQ for 4 years now and have raised a number of orphans every season. BCRQ is a registered not-for-profit volunteer organisation that strives to help people understand the importance of all bat species. They provide a prompt and humane 24/7 bat rescue service, raise and release orphans annually, and continuously rehabilitate injured bats before returning them into the wild. Increases in urbanisation and farming lands has resulted in extensive habitat loss for many bat species, which has contributed to their population decline. They also face a number of other threats that include heat stress, electrocution on overhead power lines, entanglement in barbed wire and fruit netting, dog and cat attacks, and vehicle strikes. The bats that come into care every year have been affected or orphaned by any one of these issues. Flying foxes are very social animals and are wonderful mothers, so as a carer, these orphans require a lot of love and attention. As well as frequent bottle feeds, they need lots of grooming, sunshine, exercise and affection from their adoptive mothers. These orphans will stay in care for about 12 weeks or until they become a bit more independent and are big enough to be weaned off milk and rely solely on food. Here they'll move into a creche environment where they can fly around and socialise with other bats before they are ready for release. There are a number of ways you can help bats in the wild, and they can be as easy as ensuring safe and wildlife-friendly fruit netting is used in your own backyards, avoiding barbed wire wherever possible, checking any bats on pile lines with babies that might have survived, as often they do, and of course keeping pets inside at night time. It is important to note that any rescuers and bat carers are fully vaccinated and trained to handle bats safely. If you ever see a bat in distress, it's important that you never touch it and call your local bat group. Another great way to help bats is, of course, become a bat carer yourself. It is guaranteed the most rewarding thing you will ever do. If you are interested, contact BCRQ or go on their website.
Hey,
Hey, it's Sarah from SBN Sydney team, as you can probably tell. So how cute were those bats? And it is very important work that the Bat Conservation Rescue team is doing. So now I'm sure we all have a greater appreciation for just how special Fred and Fran the flying foxes really are. Okay, now we're heading from Brisbane, Queensland, all the way across to Perth, Western Australia, to find out about an animal with a smile. Yes, we're heading to Caversham Wildlife Park to find out about Quentin the quokka. I wonder if he really can toss quoits. Let's find out.
Hi, my name's Cassie and I'm a keeper at Caversham Wildlife Park. We're located in Perth, Western Australia, and we house the largest private collection of native animals in WA. Around 2,000 furry, feathered and scaly friends live in our park. I have a great job because I get to look after all of the birds and all of the marsupials. One of my favourites are the quokkas. Now, how great is the book An Antechinus in the Attic? We all love it here at Caversham Wildlife Park, and our favourite character is Quentin the quokka, who is playing a game of quoits with Queenie the quoll. We like to see these two characters getting along so nicely. Now let's have a look at some of Quentin's cousins. Now, a quokka is a type of small wallaby, and a wallaby is a marsupial mammal, which means the female has a pouch for her joey. After the joey is born, it will crawl into the pouch, drink its mother's milk and grow into a big, strong quokka. After 5 to 6 months of living in the pouch, the joey will then hop around just like its mum. Quokkas are mainly nocturnal, which means that most of their active time is during the night time and dawn and dusk. They feed on the buds and leaves of trees and shrubs, roots, grasses, succulents and seeds. Quokkas are very special to us because they are found nowhere else in the world other than right here in Western Australia. There is a small amount of quokkas living in the southwest of the state, and there are 10,000 to 12,000 quokkas living on an island just off our coast called Rottnest Island. Unfortunately, the quokkas' conservation status is vulnerable. This means that they're heading towards becoming endangered. The number of wild quokkas is declining because they are preyed upon by foxes and feral cats, and their habitat is being destroyed by humans and climate change. It's really important that we protect our native wildlife. There are simple ways, like making sure that if we are lucky enough to see an animal in the wild, like a quokka, that we don't touch or feed it. Human food can make them really sick. We need to make sure that we put all of our rubbish in a bin so the animals don't eat our leftovers or get stuck in our plastic. And if we are lucky enough to visit the wild quokkas on Rottnest Island, we must be respectful when we take a quokka selfie. We should keep a safe distance from them and remember that we are in their home. Did you know that the quokka is often called the happiest animal in the world? This is because they always look like they're smiling. Thanks for learning about the quokka with me, and enjoy learning about all the other special animals in the book. Bye from us at Caversham Wildlife Park.
How cool were all those friends of Quentin the quokka? And big thanks to the team at Caversham Wildlife Park for all their great information on one of Australia's most smiley creatures. Well, it's been another information packed to the max episode today, and we hope you enjoyed learning all those fun facts about some more species that are featured in An Antechinus in the Attic. Now, as we mentioned earlier, as part of this national event, we are super excited to be able to grant all of our viewers exclusive access to 2 of Ecostreamz' amazing documentaries. You will be able to view both Kilimanjaro, Climb for Climate Change, and the multi-award-winning Kangaroo Island, Life on the Edge, right here on the School Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel until the end of September 2020. And to wrap up episode 2, I am really pleased to introduce the multi-award-winning and multi-talented producer of Kangaroo Island, Life on the Edge, Samuel Cheng, and his awesome trailer for his new documentary that recently won Best Independent Production at the Green Screen International Film Festival in Germany and the Gold Award in the Ron Taylor Wildlife Nature category and the Australian Cinematographers Society Awards. Check this out.
Hi everybody, my name's Sam. I'm from Walking Story and I'm a filmmaker and artist, and I currently live in Maleny in the Sunshine Coast hinterland in Queensland. I'm here talking to you today because I recently made a film called Kangaroo Island, Life on the Edge. And there are a number of species on, threatened species on Kangaroo Island. So this film was a really important film to tell. You might have known with the fires that came through last summer, a bunch of species have had a real hard go at it. We're talking about the Kangaroo Island dunnart, the glossy black cockatoo, and species like this, when their numbers are so low anyway, it's become a real challenge for them to survive. But there is a great community on Kangaroo Island, and the global community, with how much press the fires had across the world, they've got a bit of funding to try and repair habitat and to try and get these animals living again. So fingers crossed for these animals that they can go okay. Now, the film that I made focused on some threatened species, but it actually happened before the fires. So it focused on the Rosenberg's goanna, it focused on the Kangaroo Island kangaroo and hooded plovers. And my film, the angle that I took on it was that it was looking at the relationship between roads and roadside vegetation, and how these animals have to survive anyway, let alone when they have to survive in a place that has these big speeding projectiles that can fly past them.
Hi, my name is Ben, from Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots, Australia. Welcome to my backyard in Melbourne, Victoria. What an amazing documentary about Kangaroo Island. Oh, I can't wait to visit and see all the recovery. Australia's wildlife is so resilient. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and we hope you've really enjoyed the adventure as we continue to meet all the amazing characters from the pages of An Antechinus in the Attic and celebrate National Threatened Species Day across Australia. In this episode, we've seen a whole diverse range of characters, from amazing amphibians like the corroboree frog, inspiring insects like the stick insect, resilient reptiles like the lace monitor, and even brilliant birds like the colourful cassowary and the humble helmeted honeyeater. We've also learnt about the importance of plants and the vital role they play in our ecosystems to keep our wildlife healthy. In the next episode, we'll continue meeting characters from An Antechinus in the Attic and learn about Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots program that runs across Australia, equipping you, your family, community and school to get involved in your own conservation adventure. In fact, your school can visit rootsandshoots.org.au today and sign up for a free resource kit, sent with non-fiction books, free activity guides, and a whole heap of resources to kickstart sustainability in your school. Well, bye for now, and we'll see you in the next episode. For now, I'm going to go and see what I can find in my own backyard. I wonder what wildlife are hiding behind that bush over there. Bye for now, and see you soon.